Hello again. I'm Bruno Seiler. I'm founder or co-founder of the urban planning company Seiler&Seiler. The other Seiler is my brother. We founded the company like 6 years ago, and we started using CityEngine roughly 4 to 5 years ago. Firstly, to improve our internal workflows. There are some facts about our company. So, what we provide today are also CityEngine and GIS-based planning tools, but we also do normal planning tasks such as special land use plans, site development, and master planning, for which we also use CityEngine in the background. Our clients are cities, municipalities, urban planning companies, and real estate developers. So what I'm talking about today is urban densification and the tool that we built in CityEngine to perform this task. This is a picture from the city of Chur, and it represents like the fight between the natural landscape and the city that tries to grow. So why do we need urban densification? On one hand, we want to use the urban infrastructure more efficiently, so roads, schools, etc. And on the other hand, we also want to protect the natural landscape. And the Swiss population has decided a couple of years ago that they want to increase the protection of the natural landscape. And since then, cities are not allowed to grow in area anymore, but they have to increase the density. The question is now, how can cities grow and where can they grow? So I'll focus a bit on the how in this presentation. I will have a quick word on zoning regulations for the non-planners among you. So down here you see a picture of a zoning map, and each color represents a different zone. And for these zones, there's a couple of definitions. For example, the land use is defined, be it residential, commercial, industrial, mixed use. Then the density is defined, so how dense can you actually build in a certain parcel. For example, through the floor area ratio. And then there's also maximum building dimensions such as length or number of stories that are limited, and that depends, of course, on the zone. And then we have setbacks that have to be taken into account as well. So here's a slide about how setbacks work. So the setback is the minimum distance that a building has to have towards the border of the parcel that you see in red here, or towards the next building facade. In the example I'm showing here, that's from the city of Argoldau in the center of Switzerland, and they have 3 different types of setbacks. First is a general setback, which is just generally 3 meters. The second is a setback that is based on the building height. So if the building exceeds a certain threshold, there's an additional setback for that. And there's also an additional setback, number 3, for the building length. So again, once it exceeds this threshold, there will be an additional setback. So that's a bit boring, so I'll show you in CityEngine how this works. So I'll just decrease one side of the building, and you see that the setback for the additional length disappears, and once I've increased the size enough on the other dimension, it appears again. And the same thing I can do with the number of stories. I increase the number of stories, and you can see that the second setback increases as well. So now this makes it, of course, very tricky if you want to do this manually, to place the buildings, because you have to draw this. And every municipality in Switzerland has different zoning codes, so that's roughly 3,000 zoning codes in Switzerland. So it's obviously it would be nice to have a tool that helps or supports in doing so. So I will just look at this area now. That's just 35 parcels, and you can see the building stock as we have it today. So some parcels are still free. And now I want to find out how could this look like in a very general manner when we use the full densification potential, so the maximum floor area that actually can be built here. So what do we need for this? First of all, we need smart zoning, and I'll show you an example for this. I'll draw a parcel, an example parcel, a simple one, and I apply the rules. And it creates a very simple one-story building. That's because we are in zone W1, which is residential zone with one-story building. I can again visualize the setbacks. That's the ones you see in blue now. But that's just the setbacks for additional height and the general setback, because once I put several buildings on a parcel, they could have different lengths, and so I can't really subtract the setback for additional length from the parcel border. And on top you see the number 100%, that's why we reached 100% of the maximum floor area that we can actually build within this parcel. And what I'll do now, I'll just switch through the zones, and you can see how the CGA code reacts. So 2-story residential, 2-story mixed use, and down here you have the zoning that changes. So we have 4 stories, for example, and that's the floor area ratio that updates, and the model does accordingly. So now what happens if you have a bigger parcel? Now we have just one building. I will show you that by increasing this parcel. And you can see that first the size of the building increases, and once it has reached the maximum, a second building is placed on the parcel, and so on. So that's how it works in theory when you have a nice rectangular parcel shape. But of course, we know that that's not always the case. So that's our parcels that we are looking at now. So I'll apply the same rule, and we see what CityEngine comes up with. So now the nice things that we heard already before is that you have the dashboard, so you can see that we have actually built 35,000 out of 39,000 square meters of floor area that we can build in total. So I want to find out where I could build more. This is a bit confusing when you have the numbers on the roof, but you don't really see where you have potential to increase the density further. So I will add a color that looks like everything is green, so it's really a perfect solution. But there's lighter green colors, and we'll focus on one of these parcels now. So the one down here has 2 buildings on it. We have one with 50% of the total floor area and one with 35, so 85 in total, which leaves us with 15% that we can add in addition. So what I'll do now is I'll just try to add another building to the parcel and see if that improves the percentage. So it's roughly 30% per building now, and we can check in the reports quickly what it means. So we have reached 98% of the total. So I'm quite happy with that. And I'll go to another parcel which seems to be causing problems. So here the setback for additional height is actually too large in order to build something in the remaining part of the parcel. So what we have to do now is just decrease the number of stories in order to be able to build something. And we do that with a simple handle. And we have a building that reaches 100% of the total floor area ratio. So let's check quickly now how much of the total floor area we have reached over the full area, and that's 91%. So that's where I stop. But now, of course, this is a bit, you probably want to go deeper into the design and design every single building a bit further. So that's what we'll do in the last step. So I'm not happy with the parcel back there. So I have two buildings which reach 50% each of the total floor area. And now you can see that when I add the setbacks again, that the setback for additional length goes way beyond the parcel border. So I have to decrease the size of the buildings 25% each now. And in order to reach the maximum again, I just copy paste the buildings and move them into the right place. So of course in this step you could also add other footprints. That's something that we'll do in the future, L shapes, etc. And you can place and rotate the buildings such as you like. So you're very free. And you always have the feedback down there. You can see how much you have actually reached of the total. So yeah, that's the quick proposal we came up with, just by using 10 minutes of time. So we have a tool that quickly creates an automated solution, which is of course not perfect, but you have the ability to just go into the model and change every single building, such as you like. And the dashboard and reports are really helpful in finding out where we stand. That's it. Do you have any questions? Yes?
That was really, really interesting. Thank you. So you've mentioned about build density.
Mm-hmm.
Have you gone into population density as well within buildings, or are you interested in the interior of buildings as well?
Not the interiors, but the number of population as well. Yeah, that's basically the next step. We'll add more information or derive more information from the floor areas, such as number of population, etc. And also the second part would be that we add an analysis function at the beginning that allows you to identify the parcels that you really want to densify. So based on the age of the building, for example, or the last renovation, etc.
Even the typology, for example?
For example?
So if it's let's say a 60s building or a 2000 building.
Yeah, exactly. Any other?
I would like to ask, when you model the maximum potential of buildings, the structure of all buildings changed. And usually in urban environments, we need to preserve as much content that already exists. How do you solve this problem? Then you need to only insert buildings in the gaps of current buildings.
Yeah, that's where it gets tricky. I mean, you can easily add another building if there's enough space on the parcel, but probably now you have to pre-process the data in GIS to do so. But I hope that we will be able to do these kind of tasks with the new version of CityEngine.
But it is possible. If you generate buildings with GIS, CityEngine and use your rules.
Yeah. So, or if you look at the existing building stocks, what we also have is rules that allow you to build annexes, for example, on existing buildings, or just add a floor on existing building, such kind of stuff. But we haven't quite linked it yet, so that's also planned for the future.
Do you think about changing the street network if you want to densify the whole portal and the area? Would you consider to reshaping the street network to maximize
the buildable area maybe?
Yeah.
Could be interesting. What do you think? I find it quite interesting. Reshaping the roads and everything. So you utilize the buildable area much better. So you have the barriers or the neighborhoods barriers decrease the maximum as possible. So that sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. The problem is usually that when you have a lot of property owners involved, it gets a bit tricky. And it's probably difficult to realize. So it's more like a vision than really something in reality. But yeah, sounds interesting.
One more question. Have you thought about a link with BIM?
No. Why don't you?
Because I know a lot of planning firms work with BIM, especially to do this kind of calculations.
Yeah.
And I was thinking if there is like a connection between how BIM structured models and how I'm not very good user of BIM, so I don't know.
Okay.
Because I know that they use BIM to do this kind of stuff. I was wondering if there is a connection or a link.
No, I haven't really looked into BIM at all. But yeah, if you say so, I mean,
You will.
I think typically the guys who create BIMs, they get actually his output. Like it's afterwards. Like so, for example, he figures out like how big are the buildings gonna be, and then the architect is creating the 3D model and the BIM, etc. So that's kind of like afterwards, and then of course they need to evaluate it again against like what he calculated. But typically it's like afterwards.
So it's like they take the outputs and then they use it to do that.
Yeah, like he gets like what is the gross floor area that can be built here? What is the size? What is the so these kind of things, the capacity of the parcel actually figures out like where's the potential, and then the architects build something.
Maybe another point would also be if you have existing buildings that potentially are like BIM or building information, then which could basically be fed into his system that is like basically processing statistics to spits out what needs to be done, how many square meters do we have to add, and so on. The thing is, with a lot of the existing building structure that is built, there are no plans, and maybe they are 200 years old and manually designed or non-existing whatsoever. So the BIM data also doesn't, even if it doesn't exist, so you cannot gather the information of what is the current state. Maybe that's potentially at an ideal point in future that will exist at one point in time to actually feed that stuff into such a system. I suppose that's another.
That's a huge topic of this. Like how we can integrate these kind of data sets in such a way. So yeah, it's the as built kind of like. Cities want to go there, but yeah, as you said, nobody has the data. And if so, then it's super complicated.
It's actually really true because we were looking to do the age data for London, and we couldn't even find individual building ages for London. So it's very, very hard to come up with such information.
And the data exists potentially in multiple fragmented groups of government agencies that don't communicate well, and the data is inconsistent or has faulty parts, right? So it's an enormously complex problem. I guess that's another reason why we are here. Let's solve it today.